Hi, I hope your week's been going well. Mine, like yours, was cold and snowy, but I've been getting out some. I have these crampons for my snow boots, and they can go over the boot like this, and then they pop over the heel. They're much easier to put on when the boot is on my foot rather than flopping around in front of me. They're actually quite quick to put on my foot. And so I have these spikes on my feet, and I've been going out and running a mile or so in the neighborhood every day to get some exercise and some air. They work better in cold packed snow or even ice because these spikes will just poke right into ice and they have a ton of traction. I found that when it's about 25, the snow is slushy and uncomfortable. So on the days when it was getting that warm, what a perspective, I ran earlier. On other days, I waited until it got into the teens to run, sometimes just because it's a little uncomfortable breathing hard when it's that cold. Well, I hope you enjoyed the snow some. Now we're coming to Lent. Now, Lent was supposed to start with Ash Wednesday, and suppose it officially did, but because we couldn't have church, we're doing Ash Sunday. So I thought we'd talk about giving up things for Lent. Now, let me give you an example. I drink tea, and I have just a few different kinds of tea. And I like it quite a bit. So one year, I decided I would give up tea. And what I did was, instead of drinking tea, I just drank hot water. So how good was that? What did that do for me in Lent? What did that do for my relationship with God? Well, I didn't just do it to be miserable. And I didn't do it to impress God with what I gave up for Him. What I tried to do was think about how much blessing God had put in my life and use it as a little tool toward prayer even. And that wasn't too bad. That's a reasonable thing to do for Lent. Giving up food I shouldn't be eating anyway for Lent, sometimes that'll work, but remember, you're not trying to impress God by how miserable you're making yourself. You are trying to further your relationship with God or the kingdom or both. And really, you can't do it without doing both. Remember what we talked about, what's important. Well, it's relationships, your relationship with God and your relationship with others. So, there are some other ideas that make a lot of sense for Lent. One thing you might do as a family is give up some computer time or TV time and do something together. If that's board games or other things, something you enjoy doing as a family. It's okay to enjoy Lent. What you're doing is making space for God to come closer to you, or for you to notice that God's already close. Because really, we don't pray God into our midst. We don't give up things or become miserable or coerce God or woo God, trying to draw Him in by what we give up. He's already there, but when we give things up, sometimes those things were what was keeping us from seeing that God was already there. And God is definitely there in your family relationships. Maybe not even your whole family. Maybe just do it with your brother or sister and do something you enjoy together, but don't usually do. You'll end up giving up something, but you're making space for kingdom to happen. So I'm still working out what I'm going to give up this year. Had a couple thoughts so far, but I haven't figured it out. So I thought I'd share those thoughts with you while I'm trying to figure out what would it be this year for me to give up for Lent? And how is that going to make me closer to the people around me, those relationships that are important? Remember, those relationships are the important thing in the kingdom, and to God. And really, I can't do one or the other right without, in some ways, doing both. Well, I hope you come up with some great things. You don't need to impress God with how great they are. Just do something. It's going to be good enough, and you'll learn from doing it, and it'll probably help you see God. So, I'll see you next week, and hopefully by then I'll have figured out what I'm giving up for Lent, and I'll let you know what it is. Talk to you then.